Hello, here we are with Mr. Peter Slootweg. I don't know if I pronounced your name good.
Pretty good, pretty good.
Okay, very good.
Yeah.
Managing Director of BOXBAY. So, what can you tell us about BOXBAY? Tell us something that makes BOXBAY so unique. What is the
If
offer?
I would say one thing that makes BOXBAY so unique is that it is truly something that's going to revolutionize the container logistics industry.
That sounds good.
The industry has been waiting a long time for something like BOXBAY, and the industry is ready for the benefits of BOXBAY. So if it would be one thing, it would be the disruptive nature of the BOXBAY solution to the container industry.
Okay. We all know what high bay storage is, but can you actually expand a little bit about it and include the main benefits of BOXBAY?
Yeah, well, high bay storage is exactly what it says it is. It's an ability to store containers much higher in a rack structure, which is essentially what BOXBAY is. But BOXBAY is not just a yard, quote-unquote, storage solution, because it impacts so many aspects of the container terminal and container logistics. Let me illustrate. I'll tell you what those benefits are.
Perfect.
So you can realize how revolutionary BOXBAY actually is. And it's not just a yard solution. So the first and obvious benefit is space. You can stack much higher, up to 11 high or even 16 high if it's a full empty solution. So what that does is it increases the capacity of your yard by over 300% if you compare it to modern ASC or RMG terminals. 300% increase in space. The second benefit is it actually increases the throughput potential of the terminal itself, so the whole terminal. And DP World has done studies. It increases the terminal throughput capacity by 3.4%.
Wow.
So it's more space. Or on the other side, you can also save space, right?
Of course.
So BOXBAY only needs 1/3 of the space that ASC yards or RT don't. And the third one is operational expense and maintenance expense. It goes way down. Because of the nature of BOXBAY, you don't have the 60% shuffle, unproductive, unpaid moves that you do in conventional ASC yards or RTG yards, right? Because as you know, if you need to access the bottom box in a normal yard, right, and there are 5 above it, you have to move 5 containers away, right? But with BOXBAY, you don't have this. So it's much more efficient. It doesn't have those wasted moves, so less wear and tear on equipment, much less energy required, right?
Oh, yes.
It's a closed system, so the equipment is protected.
Time saving too.
So time savings, I can get to that later. So that's the third benefit. The fourth is sustainability, right? Not just because the energy cost is lower, but for the first time, and this is another revolutionary characteristic, in the history of container yards, you can put solar panels on top of your yard.
Wow.
Right.
That's amazing.
BOXBAY can actually produce up to 350% more energy than it needs to operate itself.
Wow.
Right? And that 350% is in Dubai. So if you take a really cloudy, awful, rainy country like Belgium, for example, like Antwerp, BOXBAY can produce 150%, over 100% more energy than it needs to operate.
Wow.
So you can use the excess energy to charge your AGVs or power your reefers, or if the infrastructure allows, even send it back to the grid for additional revenue.
Well, those are quite disruptive and revolutionary benefits.
And there's one more.
Oh.
One more. The other one is performance. All right, so you already hinted that performance in BOXBAY, because each container has its own slot, is high, which is true. But the revolutionary part is it's 100% predictable.
Predictability is
So
very
moving
important.
containers in and out of BOXBAY, what used to be the yard, but is 100% predictable and reliable and fast every single time.
Wow, that's quite amazing. Those are really, really iconic and revolutionary benefits. And how does BOXBAY plans to deliver those benefits?
Well, by building a BOXBAY system, of course, right? On a terminal, either a brown field or a green field. But how it delivers all of these benefits that I just mentioned simultaneously. Obviously, the space one is obvious, right? Because you can stack higher, so that's an obvious explanation. But the secret to the performance of BOXBAY, and the reason why it can be 100% reliable performance, is because of direct access. Direct access means no matter where your container is in high bay storage, in the top or the bottom or in the middle, it can be accessed at any time directly. It doesn't have to wait or anything else. It's just directly accessible. And what this does to planning, yard planning, it makes yard planning completely irrelevant, a thing of the past.
Most definitely.
And the really mind-boggling thing is that because yard planning is not necessary anymore, right? You don't need, and yard-related planning is not necessary anymore. And because of direct access, BOXBAY acts like one giant permanent container sorting mechanism.
Wow.
Permanent, as in it does all the sorting for you because of the instant access in or out. And that's revolutionary.
It seems like BOXBAY is not just a yard solution, as you tell us, because it benefits the whole terminal in
Yep.
so many ways.
Yep.
How do you convince container terminals to look at the solution holistically?
Yeah, well, that's difficult. Well, first of all, you have to look at BOXBAY holistically. Otherwise, you cannot assess its, the benefits and the impact on the terminal. BOXBAY doesn't just impact the yard; it impacts the number of equipment that you can buy. It impacts the footprint, of course, right? Less land.
Yes.
It influences absolutely every aspect of a container terminal footprint, practically. So you have to look at it holistically in order to be able to assess the benefits, right, and the impact. And you also have to look at it holistically. BOXBAY is not just an investment in yard equipment and a seal structure. It's an investment in something that impacts the entire terminal, as I said, right? So the return on investment for BOXBAY, you need to look much wider. You need to look at, well, what are you going to do with the 2/3 of the land that you save, right?
Yes.
Well, with the 2/3 of that land, you can add a warehouse or another value-adding activity or business that in the area. And really often container terminals now the yards are congested, fully utilized, and really often they're a bottleneck to performance and resilience because they can't keep up with waterside peak and also landside peak demand because they're full. But 2/3 of the land you save,
Yes.
increase your capacity and your throughput, close an off-site depot because many, space-constrained ports in the world, they don't want empties on valuable space, right? So they store them off-site in off-site depot. Close that off-site depot, bring it on-site again, bring the revenue on-site again.
Wow.
Eliminate the trucking in between those depots,
Yes,
for example.
you decrease costs.
So holistically, you need to look at all of those different aspects in order to decide whether BOXBAY, and of course it is, in many cases, especially for larger terminals that have a land constraint or more expensive land, right? If it's expensive to reclaim,
Yes.
BOXBAY might be the right solution.
And if you have to describe BOXBAY in one word, what that word would be?
Ooh. I would say I'm torn between two words. Can I say
Well,
choose
yeah,
two?
yes, two. It's okay.
Revolutionary and disruptive.
Excellent.
There we go.
One last question, Mr. P. BOXBAY is not commercially operational system yet, is it?
No,
Okay.
it's not.
And how can BOXBAY be so confident in all these disruptive benefits?
Yeah,
And
yeah.
how does it work?
Well, good question. We don't have a commercially operating system, so how do we know it works?
Exactly, we're gonna work.
Well, the first reason we know it works is because the technology has been around for over, for decades. The steel industry has high bay storage technology that handles steel coils of 50 tons, over 50 tons, and they're hot.
Wow.
And they, and the conveyor systems, and they put them in high bay storage. So this technology exists and has been operational, tried, tested, proven, over decades. So the technology is not new. So it's proven in that sense. It's just adapted for use for containers.
Okay.
Right? That's the first reason. The second reason is we have a proof of concept in Jebel Ali. So DP World has built the proof of concept. They finished it in 2020. It has a capacity of around 100,000 TEUs, and it's moved over 500,000 moves since it was built already. So those 500,000 moves, we know the productivity of the stacker cranes inside exactly. We know how long it takes for containers to go in and out of the system. So we're very confident in the data and the statistics because of this as well. And then the third reason, DP World is a joint venture partner.
Yeah, wow.
I mean, they are one of the most
DP World. Exactly.
Advanced, innovative global container operating companies in the world. And they are investing in BOXBAY because they know it's going to revolutionize container yards. It's a win-win for them, yeah.
Yeah, of course.
So I think those are three very compelling reasons to say, listen, it works.
Okay,
it works.
and not being the devil's advocate or anything like that, what do you think might be some of the challenges that you can face? Do you think it's because of the market, because of the supply, or because of certain regulations that even ports or terminals have within them?
The challenge is that every terminal is different.
Okay.
We all know globally the regulations are getting stricter and stricter. Environmentally, sustainability is becoming more important. Space is becoming more of a constraint, etc. So that impacts everything, not just BOXBAY. But the challenge is because every terminal is so different. Ownership of a terminal, the footprint of the terminal, the equipment type, the market, the type of container traffic there. It means that BOXBAY needs to be redesigned from scratch for every single terminal separately and it can be. That's not the issue, but the challenge really is to get the terminal to the point of sitting down with BOXBAY, sharing the information, all the different data that is necessary in order to come up with a concept, a BOXBAY concept that would work, and then to talk about the impact and the benefits and the investment as well, of course, that comes along with that.
Well,
so that's a challenge.
Well, definitely. And let me tell you, BOXBAY, it sounds to be like it's going to be the solution for many, many problems that terminals are having these days. Thank you so much for your time, and welcome back to Talk Americas.
Pleasure being on. Thank you.
Thank you.